this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. Woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. Woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
Instant choir. Our choir that formed this morning at 9:30. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. Now, it's been a while since I invited you to verbalize what you're feeling without words, to give sound to what you're feeling. So I'm going to invite you to do that in a moment, given all that's been happening. Given Supreme Court decisions and Senate and House votes, which affect some of us more deeply than others. So in a moment, I'm going to invite you to voice, without words, to give sound to what you're feeling in your heart, body, and soul. And if you're a person with sensitive hearing, you might want to cover your ears, just in case, just in case. Are you ready? What's in you? Just if you were to give a sound to all that you're feeling, what would it be? Ready? And... Now that those who didn't try it had a chance to hear other people do it, here's your second chance. Ready? What's in you? What is yet to come out there? Ready? And... We light a candle of compassion, resistance, and resilience each week, just to mark, for those of us who feel these things really deeply, that this is true at the moment. What would be the sound of your level of compassion, the quality and the level of your compassion right now? What would it be? What would be the sound of your level of resistance, the kind of resistance energy you feel in you that you have to offer that's needing to go somewhere? What would that be? That was the most interesting one so far. And what would be the sound, the feel, the quality, the tone, the embodiment of your resilience, the level of resilience you feel that you've got capacity for? Oh, what I love is that some people kind of settled into quiet with that, and some people got stronger with that sense of resilience. Both, right? Beautiful. I'm going to invite, Gail's already lit, our flame, our candle of compassion, resistance, and resilience. And we invited people today to wear your values in some way, with buttons, sashes. No one wore a sandwich board, huh? Oh, Shelley's got a sandwich board. Okay. Moral courage, and courage is contagious. What are some of the other values around you that you're seeing on somebody else? Union. A flag. Janet's got JETPIG, which is the acronym for the set of UU values. We'll come back to that. Peace, love, beauty way. Chalice earrings, excellent. I wore a ring. Sorry?
Harvey Milk.
Patience, Harvey Milk. Endurance. Community. Perseverance. Rage. Yeah. Laughter. Open-heartedness. Connection. We're about to greet each other, whether you're online or on Zoom or in the room here, the Zoom room or this room. I invite you, as you greet each other, to notice what are the values that someone's wearing, maybe to share what it is you wore or you would have worn had you known, or would have worn had you remembered, right? So I invite you to greet people in a way that feels really good to both of you, to help us kind of create community this morning together, and to share a little bit about the values that are most important to you, and that perhaps you have embodied some way on your body this morning. With that, I invite you to greet one another.
And as you silence your voices, would you please remember to silence your devices? Your devices you can keep. I'd like to now invite Lisa Hayden to come up and share a land acknowledgement with you.
Let's see. Our Declaration of Independence declares a set of truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Somehow that got forgotten in the eager rush of the settlers in this new world to declare ownership of land already inhabited. The concept that indigenous peoples were included in the quote-unquote all men who were created equal didn't occur to them as they trampled not only their land, but also their unalienable rights. We acknowledge that we are residents or visitors on land that was never ceded, never given up by the Nisenan people who are still here among us, and the original tribal families have yet to recover from the genocide of their people. Where's the basket of black oak acorns? Let's see. Guess I need that. With this basket of black oak acorns, we express our heartfelt desire that the Nisenan people may recover more and more their rich cultural heritage. We commit to support them in these and other efforts in whatever ways we can, under their guidance and at their request. Blessed be.
Let Us Remember, by Reverend J. Rowland. As we come together, let us remember those who have come before us, both known and unknown, and sacrifice as we could have the opportunities we have. Let us think about those to come, both known and unknown, and the world we will leave them. Let us act with our values, the impact of which is both known and unknown. Let us move forward with hope for a world we can imagine and one we cannot fathom. As we light this chalice, let it light the path as we move forward in worship together, together in freedom.
And now, as Cheryl comes forward to take the light back with the children, we will all sing them to their classes. Good morning. I'm Gail Johnson-Vaughan, and I am your worship associate for today on this second day of the 250th year since 13 colonies on this continent, calling themselves the United States of America, declared independence from tyranny. The patriots of 1776 declared independence. Today, our values call us to declare interdependence. The 1776 Declaration held a set of truths to be self-evident: that all men are created equal, endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, among them life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness are more than parades and picnics. Today, we will be reminded that we, the people, have that unalienable right to live interdependently in freedom that serves the common good. Our country is not in a good place right now. Many of us are still reeling, grieving from the passage of the reconciliation bill on Thursday, because it contains so many barriers to those rights. And still, this is our country. And so, once again, we have come together in community. So, welcome, patriots of the Spirit and patriots of action, citizens and non-citizens. Welcome, we who are grieving, confused, overwhelmed, fearful. Welcome, we who are hopeful, buoyed by the peaceful protests gaining steam and numbers. Welcome, we who are determined and empowered and unwilling to back down. Welcome, we who add energy by nurturing our spirits and holding deep peace through this challenging and sacred time. Together, we celebrate this amazing country and the values that are the foundation of liberty and justice for all. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist community of the mountains.
We come here today with our hearts and minds full of cares and concerns for ourselves, for our loved ones, and for the entire world. Struggles, worries, hopes, and joys. Such is life. Such is love. We have the opportunity now to connect with each other in this, our symbolic ritual of joys and sorrows. When the music starts, if you feel so moved, I invite you to come forward and select a stone and release it into this bowl of water, symbol of our caring community. In this way, perhaps what feels deeply personal may also feel communal. Our burdens made lighter and our joys made brighter, knowing we are part of something, our burdens made lighter and our joys made brighter, knowing they and we are part of something shared. Those on Zoom may choose to write in the chat or simply put an O to represent a stone. I place these final stones to honor all the rest of the joys and sorrows we hold in our hearts today. May we remember always that for all that is unique in our individual lives, we are in this together.
Bev Lyon is joining us from afar. It's wonderful to have her here with us today as she reads our prayer and meditation by Ma Teresa Tet Gusilio Gallardo. Bev.
Ultimate grace. Ultimate grace, the heart of every matter, in every perfection and imperfection, in all senses and tenses, in moments of every right and wrong, presenting choices to inquiring hearts. You are in the purpose and the journey of mishaps. You are in moments of understanding and misunderstanding. We have but to seek and invoke you and enable the work of your spirit, as prayer is but an articulated common dream. We invoke our ultimate concern for the work of faith. We long to be hand in hand where everyone belongs. Free us from our hindrances. Make invisible things visible, the voiceless heard. Lay what is hidden before us. Make the chained unbound, the doubting believe. What is confusing, let clarify. As hardened hearts grow soft to the touch, may we come in fullness, with gratefulness, faithfulness to one another. May we speak in kind conversing, disclosing our truths with care, expressing our practical wisdom to learn its practical limits. For the world was not meant to be possessed by a singular truth, but to be built together upon revelations. Universe with stars in your hair, you have shown that great things emerge from humble beginnings, no matter how flawed and lacking. That one story in a stable, in prison, in the cave, destitution in abject poverty, if lived in all sincerity, can liberate from darkness the many. May our eyes seek to appreciate, our breaths to dedicate power, our hands to warm each other. In loving fearlessly, we are invincible. Free will is deliberate, we are pivotal. When dreaming together, we are infinite. Remind us, very questions that we have turned away from, that we thought could not be answered, or are impossible to realize. Dear universal intelligence, your embrace contains everything, but confines nothing. The ever insistence of existence. May this one moment count.
That was my daddy on that picture. In the words of Harriet Tubman, the only way out is through. And boy, are we going through a lot. Is this our country? Is this our flag? Our flag? Who gets to decide what it stands for? Do people whose values conflict with ours get to decide? I'd pretty much let go of flag waving until recently, when the resistance reclaimed our flag and our country. In preparation for this service, I'd gotten 100 flags to give you. And then I decided to give them out to the folks at the No Kings protest. As I passed people on my way to the Brunswick overpass, I asked, would you like a flag? Over and over they said, yes, 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 oh, thank you. Except for one who said, no, Trump spoiled it for me. Perhaps you feel that way too. perhaps you reject branding our flag with racism and inequity and white supremacy, and join the movement taking back our flag and branding it with its values of freedom, equity, love, courage, or perhaps you're somewhere in between. Even though I gave away all those flags I'd gotten for you, I hung on to wanting to give them to you. So, greeters, will you pass out the flags, please? I just couldn't resist. As they bring them to you, I want to acknowledge the range of feelings that the flag may evoke for you and invite you to stay with those thoughts, reactions, feelings, listening to what it might reveal to you. This is my country. This is my country, and I love it. I have long considered myself a patriotic lover of America. I'm sure my family had something to do with it. My dad, who you saw, was a World War II submarine veteran who risked his life to defend democracy and keep us free from fascism. On the morning of my birth, when his submarine surfaced in the Pacific Theater, the Red Cross let him know I had been born. After that, after he returned from the war, he made a 20-year career of the Navy. Every 2 to 3 years, when he was ordered to a new duty station, we piled into our car, packed up all our belongings, and drove coast to coast, to coast, to coast. 9 trips across country in all. I came to know from those trips, driving, I came to know that really what I was saying when I sang, for beautiful, for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains, majesty above the fruited plain. Yes, America, America, God has shed her grace. I didn't consider that songs or songs like America Beautiful schmaltzy then, and they still give me patriotic chills. Although we were a military family, my parents were not conservative. We never lived on the base, and my mother shuddered at the thought of having to go to the DAR luncheon when they chose me to receive the Good Citizenship Medal for the 6th graders. My mom and dad were both patriotic and progressive. And they also loved those patriotic songs. Well, I spent my coming of age years, the late 60s and early 70s, in Berkeley. I was a young mom who often took baby Brent for walks in his buggy, and I was delighted when I discovered just around the corner from our cottage a group of long-haired, bearded hippies and little old ladies working side by side to build a park for the people. The People's Park. And then there was the time when I had to flee with my baby to keep him safe when the National Guard closed off our street and sent tear gas into the air to dispel the protesters. My flavor of patriotism shifted as the anthems of songs shifted to songs like Pete Seeger's We Shall Overcome. And Woody Guthrie emboldened my commitment to the Constitution with "This land is your land, this land is my land." I learned not to celebrate every decision that our government made, and I learned to make signs and to attend protests and to campaign for candidates whose values I believed in. Now it's 2025, 59 years since my progressive baptism. At a recent event in Marin County, Joan Baez was asked if what we were experiencing was like the 60s. Her response? Those 60s were like an effing garden party compared to what we're going through. As Reverend Kevin and I began preparations for our service today, I found myself singing over and over again in my head another of my beloved patriotic songs, perhaps my most beloved, "This Is My Country." Breathes there a man with soul so dead that never to himself has said, "This is my own, my native land." How I love the feeling that rose in me when I sang that song, and I wanted that feeling to fill all of our hearts. But I stumbled on some of the words. Breathes there a man? What about the women? And cringed with words that followed like, "This is my country, grandest on earth." Why does it have to be grandest? Why do we have to be better than, especially when we fall so short of the values we pride ourselves on? What if we could sing, "This is my country, land of my birth. This is my country, proclaiming my worth. And I pledge thee my allegiance, America the bold." Actually, I don't want to pledge allegiance to boldness. I could pledge allegiance to kindness, fairness, freedom, truth. Those are values I want our country to strive for. I will not sing "This Is My Country" until we revise the words, even if they're aspirational, that would make it true for each of us. Perhaps breathes there someone with soul so dead who never to themselves has said, "This is my own, my native land," or "This is my land of my choice. This is my country, land of my birth. This is my country, proclaiming my worth. I pledge thee allegiance, America the free, for this is my country where I can be me." And this is the flag that represents this country. I wave it with pride as I do my part to defend the values on which it stands.
Gail, thank you. Thank you. The Liberty Bell, the bell we know as the Liberty Bell, has been cracked for a very long time. In fact, the very first casting of the bell done in London cracked when it was first tested in Philadelphia. And so the bell was recast twice more by local smiths. The bell was commissioned in 1752 as the bell for the new building to house the Pennsylvania legislature. It was rung to call out the start of gatherings, rung to call people together for important events, rung to warn people of impending danger. And because Philadelphia was growing, the legislators wanted a stronger sounding bell than they had had before, so its ring would reach farther than it had before. For 90 years, that bell rang through many of the formative events in the birth and infancy of a new nation, including the American Revolution, until it cracked in 1843, most likely when it was rung in commemoration of George Washington's birthday. It had been known simply as the Old Bell until the 1830s, when people fighting for the abolition of slavery were inspired by the inscription on the bell, a passage from Leviticus in the Hebrew Bible. Proclaim liberty throughout all the land unto all the inhabitants thereof. It was a reference to the Jubilee year in Judaism, mandated every 50 years, a year of liberation and restoration, marked by the sounding of the shofar, the return of land to its original owners, the freeing of enslaved Hebrew people, and the forgiveness of debts. Proclaim liberty throughout all the land unto all the inhabitants thereof. The New York Anti-Slavery Society took the bell on as a symbol for their cause and renamed the old bell the Liberty Bell. Here's one of their pamphlets, Liberty Bell, it says, by Friends of Freedom. This bell, they said, had not obeyed its own inscription. Its peals have been a mockery, they wrote, while 1/6 of all inhabitants are held in abject slavery. The Liberty Bell was picked up again later as a symbol by women suffragists pursuing the right of women to vote, by that time cracked. Though this is not likely to be taught anytime soon in schools that receive federal funding, the bell that has since come to represent to many people an unquestioning nationalism, the bell that people think celebrates the independence and liberty of that brand new nation, was named the Liberty Bell, not for those reasons, but for the liberty the nation was yet failing to offer, for the promise of liberty that the nation had yet to live into. The crack that came afterwards seems so fitting, doesn't it? We began today by singing the spiritual born of the experience and resilience of enslaved African Americans. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. Walking and talking with my mind stayed on freedom. Singing and praying with my mind stayed on freedom. The song as it was born was not a song celebrating political freedom that already existed. Mind and hearts and bodies were stayed on freedom yet to be won. I remember being very moved as a teenager when I saw the Liberty Bell firsthand in Philadelphia on a 4-H trip to the nation's capital. The crack in it was profound to me, like seeing that actual crack. It spoke to me then of hard-won freedom. Little did I know. I am moved and inspired anew now, knowing the real reason it was named the Liberty Bell. I woke up July 4th this year, and this morning, and numerous other mornings in recent times, with my mind stayed on freedom, and sometimes with my heart heavy and discouraged, at least for a moment. There are two primary ways we define freedom in the United States, two ways that are always vying for America's heart and soul. We hold each of them inside of us, all of us, and in this, most of us are biconceptual, as George Lakoff puts it. We have both concepts. We mix and match, drawing on one or the other for different aspects of our lives, one for our family lives, one for our social lives, or political lives, or financial, fiscal lives, or our religious lives, or different situations. I named them in one way last month when I spoke of the difference between freedom from and freedom to. Freedom from and freedom to. But in the active dynamic between these two long-standing understandings of freedom, the negative conceptualization of freedom, freedom from, don't fence me in, don't tread on me, part of the conservative understanding of freedom is primarily about eliminating all constraints on individuals' freedom to do whatever they want to do, but really only for those who are deemed morally deserving. That's the one that seems to be winning out lately. Methodically, strategically, and skillfully pursued for the past 60 years, it appears to be becoming the dominant understanding of freedom in the United States. Many of us who hold progressive values continue to be shocked and appalled by what has been actually carefully planned and pursued and is now being implemented. My friends whose skin is brown or black keep reminding me that this is not new for them. The disappointment is not new for them. This has been their experience all their lives. Their minds, hearts, souls, bodies long stayed on freedom yet to come. There's an underlying common sense to negative freedom, right? Like, who doesn't want to be free of constraints, right? It makes a common sense. It's an understanding of freedom, however, that is activated most readily by fear, sustained by fear, sustained by a sense of danger, and that requires enemies, real or created, like immigrants or trans persons or LGBTQ plus persons or strong women, or anyone who disagrees or dares to say that America and Americans are not perfect. Freedom from. Or for a bunch of us, maybe we identify Trump as the enemy, or the MAGA folks, or the people who disagree with our values. If only we could be free of them. We have our own versions of negative freedom. But though we have and draw on that kind of definition in us, for those of us who find a community in a Unitarian Universalist congregation, who find a spiritual home here, negative freedom is likely not our primary understanding of freedom. That's not our primary one for most of us. Positive freedom is that freedom for. It's part of the progressive idea of freedom that keeps expanding. From this perspective, it's really what has made America great, that the freedoms have gradually expanded over time, however imperfectly. And they've expanded because of the collaborative pursuit of people that helped the well-being of all of us. Progressive freedom is the true freedom that has best characterized our nation over the centuries. And overall, it's been the operative definition of freedom moving America forward. Until recently. Positive, progressive freedom is about more than removing barriers. It needs that, yes. But it's about more than freedom from, and it's about more than individuals. It's not so much about individual freedom, or not as the final goal or the only piece. It's freedom that's also about together holding doors open for others. Together, creating the paths and the opportunities and the resources so that as many people as possible can have as much freedom as possible, as long as it's not inhibiting other people's freedom or harming other people. That's how our own freedom and well-being is fed at the same time, because we're all working together for everyone's freedom. It's not merely a removal of the constraints, it's a cooperative building project. The investment and the product and the work of generations. As Timothy Snyder puts it in his book on freedom, freedom is more than the absence of evil. It's the presence of good. It involves thinking about who we want to become, what we value, and how we realize our values in the world. He adds, it's the form of freedom that has to come first, because negative freedom, freedom from, doesn't by itself guide us or tell us what to use that freedom for. It just gives us freedom, but doesn't guide us toward how to use that freedom. Timothy Snyder was in Ukraine at the early on in the war as Russia was attacking it. And in the midst of those genocidal attacks on Russia, he was speaking to citizens and soldiers, and he said they spoke often of freedom. They used the word freedom very frequently. So he thought he should ask them what they meant by it. And you would think, he said, that in that time, they would have defined freedom as freedom from Russian aggression, right? That would be first and foremost as the bombs are landing. But he said not one person he asked ever said that was their definition of freedom, freedom from Russian aggression. People named things like everyone having a chance to fulfill their own purposes after the war, the smile on their son's face, the children they would like to have. Freedom meant a normal life with prospects. In other words, life that could expand and grow. Freedom for, in other words. And the countries with the highest measures of human well-being tend to live primarily from that freedom for mindset. Not just removing restraints, but actively creating the possibility of freedom for as many people as possible. Now, there's an important tie-in with all of this progressive version of freedom and our Unitarian Universalist tradition and values. These values are meant not merely to be listed, but more important to guide our actions. Those in the buildings, there were cards on your seats, which you can use as a companion to your United States flag, I suggest, or to share with someone you think might be interested, or to leave in a strategic location. Recently, our UU values have been identified kind of newly by UUs from all across the country. And here they are. There's a slide for this, Cypress. Interdependence, equity, transformation, pluralism, generosity, and justice. All interrelated and all expressions of our central value, which is love. George Lakoff teaches that the basis for a progressive worldview and for progressive morality is a combination of two things. So this is the heart of the entire progressive value system. He said it's empathy, the ability to imagine or intuit in our minds and in our bodies what someone else is feeling or experiencing, coupled with empathy's natural companion, which is responsibility. To act on that empathy. When we're feeling what another feels, we'll naturally want to act toward their well-being because we know what we would want if we were feeling that ourselves. When I look at our UU values centered in love, there it is throughout. Empathy coupled with empathy-inspired responsibility. Making the link between individual good and the common good. It leads us, UUs, to want, as Unitarian Minister Theodore Parker put it originally. He's the one that wrote, a government of all the people, by all the people, for all the people. It leads us toward a vision of freedom for, ideally, rather than a mere freedom from. The constraints on that freedom placed by empathy itself, which insists that our freedom shouldn't interfere with anybody else's freedom. When I look at that, I see that combination of empathy and responsibility and declarations of interdependence everywhere. It's really a declaration of interdependence. What I want to offer you this morning, especially to those of us who are distraught and overwhelmed by the layers of ongoing disappointments and fear, and even to those of us needing a break to let our amygdalas relax for a moment, to regather our spirit and energy, to refortify our hearts. What I want to offer is that one of the most effective and powerful things I think that every one of us can do right now, one of the things we can do even from the challenging emotional zones we're in, is to invest in keeping our own empathy alive. And through our empathy and our compassion, to meet and activate the empathy in others, even in seemingly opposite others. Because here's the thing, just as fear and a sense of danger trigger a negative conceptualization of freedom, and conservative notions of freedom, they call those to the fore, tapping into our own empathy or into another's empathy coaxes progressive notions of freedom and progressive values to the fore. They're all in us, all of them, but empathy actually coaxes that to the front. One of the subversive, radical, counter-oppressive moves we can make right now, even if we're exhausted, I think, is to honor, retain, invest in, and act from our own empathy, our ability to imagine what someone else might be feeling, if we can, in our hearts, in our minds, in our body, and to offer our own empathy to others, because that's what calls forth their empathy. It won't be arguing about the ideas. It won't be convincing someone else to take my stance. If I can offer genuine compassion, listening, heart, empathy to another person, that's what activates their empathy and brings those values to the front. Someone in a recent interview said that the work at hand right now is to maintain, in all that's going on, our work is to maintain a sense of humanity with our neighbors. Just that. Maintain a sense of humanity with our neighbors. Not to make them different than they are, not to argue, just to maintain a sense of human connection, human beings relating to human beings. If you're not sure what else to do right now, I suggest starting there by simply being human with others, retaining your own empathy. Actually pay attention to it, see what's happening to it, keep it alive and functioning. Your own ability to imagine in heart and mind and feel in your body what someone else might be feeling. Start, maybe, where and with whom you feel that naturally. You don't have to make this tough. Start where your empathy naturally flows, right? That's the place to start investing. And then extend it. And extend it as far as your spirit will allow you in any given moment. It's one of the important things that we do here together. It's one of the important reasons we gather on a Sunday morning, I think, to do just that, to cultivate that empathy and to practice it actually with each other on Sunday or any time we're together, because it activates and helps us live into the values that we say are life-enhancing, freedom-furthering, life-sustaining. Several years after the Liberty Bell cracked, in a move that feels counterintuitive, metal workers widened the crack. They widened the thin crack to prevent it from spreading further. Doesn't sound like that should work, does it? And they did it also in order to restore the tone of the bell. Years later, the bell, crack and all, traveled the country. Throngs of people came to touch it, to kiss it, to honor it. It became a sacred object for many people. And in that process, and since then, it has accrued many meanings of freedom, many understandings of liberty. I invite us to claim its original identification as a Liberty Bell meant to live up to its inscription. Proclaim liberty throughout all the land, unto all the inhabitants thereof. There is, of course, much other work that can and needs to be done, but as a starting place, I invite us to invest each and together, and perhaps counterintuitively, in the current crack in our nation's notion of liberty and negative freedom. To invest our empathy, first of all, in order to resist or slow the crack spread, maybe. And in time, I hope, to restore and maybe even extend the tone of our national liberty so that its ring might actually reach farther than it has ever reached before. So may it be. So may we be, one day at a time.
You know, we learn about freedom and respect and so many other foundational values as children. It's easy to understand why adults who as children themselves were not valued or respected, that why they would support a system of government that does not seem to value truth and justice. Well, here in Nevada County, those children that do suffer abuse and neglect have a strong ally in Child Advocates of Nevada County, the home of CASA, child-appointed special advocates, who advocate for children in foster care and juvenile justice system. For the month of July, 50% of your gifts today will go to their work as our Share the Plate partner. For the purpose of helping children who may have been neglected or abused to grow up safely, securely, and ready for the future. Through their advocacy, child welfare, their advocacy, education, and child abuse prevention services, child advocates work to ensure that all children in Nevada County grow up in safe, nurturing, and permanent homes. Today with us is Melinda Duros, who manages Child Advocate's CASA program, to tell you more.
Thank you, Gail. And to many of you, it's always nice to come here because there are so many wonderful supporters of child advocates, staunch supporters, leaders. Of course, Laura Harder was the executive director of our agency for many years, and so many of you have served as CASAs, and we're so grateful for this body of support that we find here at UU. Your generosity in sharing the plate goes directly to the children that we serve. We reserve those funds for paying for summer camps, for diapers, for new shoes, for driver's training, all kinds of things that go directly to those kids who have really suffered so much in their very young lives. As Gail mentioned, CASA stands for Court-Appointed Special Advocates, and a CASA is a community volunteer, as some of you are here, who serves both the child and the court. These are children that have been removed from home, in most cases, because of abuse and neglect, and who have an open case in dependency court where the judge is making key life-changing decisions for their future. So a CASA serves the child by visiting, and developing a trusting relationship and standing as a caring, committed adult in that child's life whom they can depend on and who they share with. So the CASA understands over time what that child needs and the kernel of truths in that child's situation. And then the CASA can share that information with the judge so that he or she can make decisions that are as comprehensively informed as they can be. Also, as Gail mentioned, we serve juvenile justice youth, meaning teenagers who have broken the law and are on probation. Most, if not all of them, are coming from homes very similar to the children in dependency court. So they may have grown up in a home with parental drug abuse or severe mental health issues, instability and chaos, fear, criminality, all kinds of things that have disrupted their childhood. And so they, just as much as the little kids, need an advocate who can walk alongside them and help support them and hopefully get them back onto a positive track. We just started a new program called One-to-One, where we assign CASAs to children, usually middle school kids, who have been referred to us from the juvenile probation department or school counselors or mental health clinicians who are at risk of entering the juvenile justice system. They're not there yet, but they're on a trajectory that may bring them there. And so they also need a caring, committed adult to help them get back onto a safer, more productive, more positive path. So we are so, so grateful for your donations. We couldn't do anything, really, without the support of the community. I mean, we as a agency are entirely dependent on community support and on volunteers to get this work done, and it's such profound, meaningful work. So we, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you for your support.
Thank you, Melinda. And what are the other 50%? Those gifts strengthened UUCM's ability to provide the space and services that allow us to cultivate spiritual, emotional, and intellectual strengths, so important to us in these times. Greeters, you come forward. Thank you. Thank you for your generosity. We dedicate these gifts to the pursuit of interdependence through courage and kindness.
Thank you to Gail for always skillful worship associating. Thank you. Instant choir, well done. Fabulous. Thank you. I just put out the call, right? Thank you. It sounded really, really wonderful. Lisa and Rory and Bev online, thanks so much for the reading. All these people who help a service happen, I invite you to find a name, those of you who recognize names. Find one that you're going to zero in on after the service, and you're going to thank them. Pick one of those names. But I want to make a special mention this morning because one of our families is moving. The Wileys are moving to the Oklahoma City vicinity. Yeah. So this morning will be our chance to say, yeah. We are going to miss you. When I arrived 9 years ago, Ash was such an important presence in the life of the congregation, right? One of our couple young children who so enlivened this community. Steve has given so much energy to a bunch of our music through his drum playing, like really fabulous drum playing. And Renee has brought so much heart and soul and time and energy and work to this community. Early on with family ministry and participating and then guiding and shaping. 9 years ago, Renee really spearheaded some of the first sprucing up of that time of the building, the repainting, the carpeting, a whole bunch of transformation. And eventually Renee became president of the board even. Renee, you've made such a difference in the life of this congregation through your vision, through your ideas, through the heart and the enthusiasm that you brought to. You've really made a tremendous difference in the 9 years since I've been here. We wish you so well, the three of you. We will miss you terribly, and we hope for good things and all the good benefits that come from being near family, all the positive benefits. You can make a point to zero in on them afterwards, too. So a few announcements for this week, just very briefly. UU 101 at noon, right in the library right here, an introduction to UUism. If you're trying to figure out what this UU thing is about, we actually look at the values a little bit. The writers group meets on Thursday on Zoom. This is our monthly Joys and Sorrows candlelight service on Thursday. Come at 6:30 for Betsy Hayden's harp playing. Just let it soothe you for a half an hour and then share in this meditative service. And I need that one last announcement. Book group on the 13th, looking at James by Percival Everett. There's on the 13th, next Sunday, the service itself is going to be related to this, but there's an Everyone Deserves an End-of-Life Doula presentation at 12:30. So plan to stick around next Sunday and find out a little bit more about those questions around approaching the end of one's life. And as always, the website has ways to sign up for the newsletters and find out all kinds of other information. What I would invite us to do right now is to sing a song from this era, The Fire of Commitment. And I invite you to take on as much of its meaning as will serve your heart this morning. I invite you to rise in body or in spirit. And instant choir, if you're willing to come on up again and face this way, that will help support people in their singing.
Our
You will help us, you and I and all of us together will read the closing words. They are the Values Prayer after St. Francis by Christopher Boyce. May we be instruments of peace. Where there is indifference, may we bring justice. Where there is selfishness, may we bring equity. Where there is stagnation, may we bring transformation. Where there is homogeneity, may we bring pluralism. Where there is isolation, may we bring interdependence. Where there is greed, may we bring generosity. And where there is hatred, may we bring love. Make us instruments of peace, with love at the center of everything we do.
How often do you get to say homogeneity? But before our community benediction, a benediction by Dr. Jaya John, novelist, freedom worker, speaker. May you feel the revolution, maybe you feel the revolution doesn't need you. Maybe you feel the revolution doesn't need you. Come, bring everything. Bring the ocean, bring the sky, bring all the stars of all the galaxies. Bring the very sediment of your soul. Freedom needs you. Freedom is not yet free. We remind ourselves that we are not in this alone with this community benediction we offer to each other, these good words. We will extinguish this chalice, but together we will carry the flame of peace and love until we meet again. See you next week for Walking Each Other Home, a prelude to the event after the service. Join us for UU 101, and please join for refreshments and conversation, and find those people you're going to thank for their participation in the service.